January 13th, 532. Riots erupt between fans of rival chariot teams in Constantinople. Think of them like hockey dads who go to orgies. Welcome to The Revisionists. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And our guest tonight is a returning favorite and co-host of one of my favorite podcasts, Ice Cream Social. Please welcome back Jacob Rupp, everyone.
Hey, hi, Revisionist podcast listeners.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here, Jacob.
Oh, thank you for
I don't know why I said that so Hannibal Lecter-y when I'm kind of leering at you. I apologize.
I did find the trail of Fruit Loops coming to your door. So
yeah. If there's one fruit-based cereal I would put out to lure you in, I had you pegged for a Fruit Loops, man.
I like the colors.
Yeah.
You
know,
you're
every
a looper.
comedian in Denver, I feel like every Denver-based comedian is lured by a different cereal. And this week we had Fruit Loops.
Oh, yeah.
Next week, I think it's going to be Cookie Crisp. I'm excited to see who the guest will be.
Ooh, you have CC Sabathia, old pitcher for the Yankees next week. That's what his name stands for. I don't know if you guys know CC.
Oh, God damn it. Listeners, if you're new to the show, every episode we take a different topic from history. One person presents the actual version of events, and another person comes up with a crazy, bonkers, batshit alternate history.
What?
And the winner goes on to become the truth. I said that way too sassy, way too street.
Brian, I'm not going to comment on. Brian, you are incapable of saying something, quote, too street, by the way.
I don't know.
But
why? Because I may have a narc voice? Yeah.
I don't know. If you see him right now, though, he's squatting with a 40 right now. So
literally, the reason this podcast started is because I was smoking some weed and Brian had a wire on him.
Wow. No,
Wait, is this part of your community service, or did I just start the podcast by talking to you while you were high?
No, weed was already legal at the time. You just decided you'd do it anyway. You're like that guy that helps Jeff Sessions. Anyways.
Any hoozle.
Brian, it's been a minute since our last show.
Yes.
What was it about, and who won?
Our
And
last
if you wanted
episode
to
was the sinking of the Lusitania with Nate Earl, and I believe after checking the listener vote on Patreon that the alternate history won out. Nate Earl's alternate history. Does anyone remember what that was? Because it has been several weeks.
Well, I remember that he retained the fact that a lot of children
That's
died.
right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
He was adamant that we retain that aspect of the original story. I think it was a lot more convoluted. I think it was sunk by accidental torpedoes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Nate Earl. That episode was absolutely bonkers. It's very hard to remember what happened in it. Excuse me. Listeners, also, thank you for sticking with us through our brief holiday sabbatical. I had a family thing I had to get to in New Jersey. So the less said about that, the better.
please, Brian, Christmas sabbatical. Just kidding.
In general, your policy should be to talk as little as possible about New Jersey at any given time. So,
that policy did not work for Bruce Springsteen, sir. So I don't think I'll be using it.
He's the exception that proves the rule.
Okay. Or like any ska band from the mid 2000s. This week, though, we're discussing Kaiser Wilhelm II. And Zach, I believe you're doing the actual history.
That's true.
All right. And Jacob's doing the alternate.
Yes.
So, Zach, whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right. So, amazingly, Kaiser Wilhelm is the second worst German leader with a crazy mustache from the 20th century. But it is not for lack of trying. So Kaiser Wilhelm was born Frederick Wilhelm Victor.
Ooh.
He was the third in line for the Prussia-German throne to be the emperor. At this time, Germany was relatively new to the Prussian Empire. He was born in 1859. He's the grandson of Queen Victoria. He's a distant cousin of Nicholas II of Russia. Mm-hmm. He's the son, obviously, of the Prussian and German royalty. So basically everybody who ruled all of Europe was one big, happy, actually not very happy family.
Yeah.
And he had a withered left arm because of a birth breach when he was born. Which was one...
Wait, what does that mean? Because that's not an actual term.
I don't know. I think it might have to do with a failed C-section or something like that, or an emergency birth.
Okay.
Yeah. He blamed his mother for that, as he blamed his mother.
That's so amazing.
To be fair, that's what like all of medicine did at that time.
Yeah. He blamed his mother and the fact that she used an English doctor. And blaming his mother and the English was his favorite thing to do. So
it's like the opposite of an Oedipus complex or whatever.
In fact, he went to England for the wedding when he was about 10 years old, for the wedding of his cousin, who would later be King Edward VII, where he bit the Duke of Edinburgh.
What?
He was trying to get him to calm down and be less agitated during the wedding, and he straight up bit the Duke of Edinburgh.
That's a good sex trick, too, actually. That's pretty good.
Yeah. The only member of his English side of the family that actually liked him was his grandmother, Queen Victoria, who missed him, again, biting the Duke of Edinburgh. He was, as a young child, forced to learn to ride horses because, it was important for royalty to be able to ride a horse by his mother. And because of his withered arm, which was about 6 inches shorter than his right arm, it was extremely difficult for him. Like, he would be weeping and they'd just keep putting him back on the horse.
Germans.
Yeah. Eventually he got it, but yeah, it was pretty shitty. Also, part of the reason why I think he didn't like his mom, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely way more legit than the first one.
So he studies at the University of Braun. He is involved in military culture from an early age, where he gets like these hyper-masculine, hyper-militaristic set of principles. He's into the autocracy, even though his mom is a little bit more British liberal. He actually resents, again, how much influence his mother has on his father. He thinks it's not masculine to allow a woman to have that much influence over you.
Okay. So he's like classic red pill sort of dude.
Yeah, he really seems like early MRA, except all the M's had all of the R's at the time. So
hell yeah. Well, no, not to that, but just to the wording you went with.
Yeah, so there was also a history of mental illness in his family, and a lot of people think that's why he was, while often described as somewhat intelligent, extremely emotionally volatile. Like, he was prone to fits of anger and things like that. The big operator in Germany at the time was Otto von Bismarck, and he was the Chancellor of Germany. And he kind of tried to turn Wilhelm against his parents even more, to use him as a political asset, because he had clashes with Wilhelm's parents.
Okay.
And Bismarck was like a really savvy political player. Like, he kind of made the German Empire what it was. And, he was pretty successful at using his machinations to get Wilhelm to stop to kind of becoming more ambivalent about his father and his mother. He fell in love with his first cousin, who was...
I love the way I sound like I'm approving of things that I shouldn't be approving of. I'm just laughing at the way you're saying them. Again, not the actual
Yeah.
content.
That's like the most English thing ever. I don't know why.
Well, I hope my hilarious
Yeah,
delivery
beans
holds
on
out.
toast and fucking your cousin.
Yes.
God's
I
like
hope
the
my
queen.
hilarious delivery holds out because it's going to get a lot darker as it goes on.
Ooh, boy, okay.
Second.
No, we've had
cousin.
darker episodes. Don't worry.
Oh god, yeah.
Third cousin.
But his cousin, who is Russian, rebukes him, and he later marries Augusta Victoria of Salzburg, Holstein, or Holstern, or something. My handwriting is terrible, and I can't read it. They have 7 kids in 10 years, which seems like a lot for her.
Yeah. I'm amazed though that at this time she got like 3 years off in there.
Yeah, that's true. He gave her a break. It was very kind, I guess, for the time. So his dad ascends to the throne, and when he ascends, he's already sick with throat cancer, and he dies 99 days after becoming the emperor. So Wilhelm becomes the emperor of Prussia, Germany in 1888 at the age of 29 years old.
Oh shit, that's my age right now.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Not for long.
Nope. I know what you mean by that, but it sounded like I was about to be killed.
Well, what I meant was you have 10 days or so to become the emperor of Prussia, Germany.
That's cool. You just
New
sent in a
year, new me.
videotape.
Guess I'm the emperor of Prussia, Germany now.
Me, my first cousin wife. 8 kids? 7?
Yeah. And just gotta wither up my arm real good.
Yeah. It's
Gonna-
alright. We have John and Kate
So-
plus 8 in the USA, so we're fine. You keep your 7 kids.
John and Kate
Yeah.
plus 8 minus 6 inches on my right arm.
Yeah,
I
what
feel
is
like
withering, baby?
Kaiser Wilhelm and...
It's like a raisin.
I think Kaiser Wilhelm and Augusta Victoria plus 7 is a much less catchy title for a...
Why don't they just call it Raisin Arm then?
No, that's like the Eraserhead version of it.
So, unlike his grandfather, Wilhelm wanted a really active role in the government instead of kind of just acting as a figurehead. Mm-hmm. And that caused a lot of rifts with Otto von Bismarck, who had kind of been running shit for the longest time. Bismarck was a guy who was, at the time, pushing for very strong anti-socialist laws. And Wilhelm had sympathy for a lot of the mine workers that had recently been on strike and didn't like some of the anti-socialist laws. And eventually this caused a rift, which was exacerbated when Bismarck tried to create a new coalition as his old one was falling apart behind Wilhelm's back. And Wilhelm forced him to resign as chancellor. At the time, Bismarck predicted that the German Empire, the monarchy basically, would dissolve within 20 years of his leaving.
And then he disappeared in a puff of smoke.
Well, he wasn't wrong.
Or
on
then
that
he turned into
particular
an
front.
old gypsy.
He withered away into the sky.
Yeah, he turned into a bunch of raisins, then a dog ate him and died.
Yeah, and he thus passed the last respectable person named Otto. So Wilhelm passes a few workers' rights bills, which are nice. He installs a new chancellor, and he wants a huge navy. The other thing he didn't like that Bismarck did was Bismarck was very cautious with foreign policy, and Wilhelm wants to be aggressive AF.
Yeah, he likes big boats.
Yeah, he's seen throughout Germany and Prussia as being kind of erratic and often failing, and people miss the Bismarck era, although he does do a few good things. He promotes arts and sciences and education reform, but he mostly has a deep, unabiding hatred of Britain. He's distrustful of them. He doesn't like his cousins in Russia much either. And when Edward VII becomes king of England, like there is a mutual hatred between the two of them. So he was also described, and this is a direct quote, as a curious but well-developed anti-Semite.
Oh, okay. That was not what I was expecting with that. Was that magnet poetry?
It was, I think, a contemporary of his.
Like 6-syllable stories.
Yeah, that's real. That was Hemingway's first draft of Baby Shoes Never Worn.
Nice, but salvageable Nazi.
So he's surprisingly he's pretty cool with Muslims, but in terms of the Jewish people,
Why did you throw that in there?
because it was mentioned.
Okay, fair enough.
But he said some pretty heinous things about often leftist Jewish people who he thought were undermining his regime. He actually had quotes where he advocated for Russian-style pogroms and advocated for their extermination by gas, which obviously not super great.
Yikes.
They were barred from military and political careers, but in terms of actual pogroms or things like that, it doesn't seem like he ever actually took any action. It was mostly just
Unofficial, maybe,
threats
and just the climate.
rambling. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He also spread the idea of yellow peril. He was concerned that China was going to come for Europe and take over.
He had that backwards.
Yeah. He was proud when he was part of the group that quashed the Boxer Rebellion in China, which was an anti-West uprising, which we may talk about in a later episode.
Mm-hmm.
He was a friend to Franz Ferdinand and supported his marriage to Sophie.
Oh, the band? That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But
if you're going to pick a band to be friends with, that's fine.
yeah,
That's an okay choice. Yeah. It's not the
one
worst.
of his pre-war political low points came in what was called the Daily Telegraph fiasco, where they published this interview with him where he was crazy and rambling, and he said things like, "The English are mad, mad, mad as March hares," which like soured relations with the English.
I mean, that sounds almost directly like it's taken from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, is March Hares like an Easter thing? When's Easter? April?
It's an old saying.
Fuck, I missed Easter.
March hares are called mad because in March, rabbits want to reproduce. And so they are, yeah.
Hell
it's a horny thing.
Call that spring cleaning.
Oh, God.
So it's a weathered left arm? What's going on?
I do want to briefly read this description of the man from a historian named Thomas Nipperday that I think will resonate with some folks in some ways. He called him quick with a gifted understanding and sometimes brilliant, but at the same time superficial, hasty, restless, unable to relax, without any deeper level of seriousness, without any desire for hard work or drive to see things through the end, no sense of sobriety or balance or boundaries, or even reality or real problems. Uncontrollable, scarcely capable of learning from experience, desperate for applause and success.
Zach,
he said
I'm
early
right
in life,
here. Like, I don't know why you need to talk about me this obliquely.
He said early in life he wanted every day to be his birthday. He was
Isn't that literally a saying? Like, too much birthday? Too much Christmas? Damn it.
I mean...
He was theatrical, unsure, and arrogant, with an immeasurable, exaggerated self-confidence and a desire to show off. He brashly wanted to play the part of a supreme warlord, full of panicky fear of a monotonous life without any diversions, and yet aimless and pathological in his hatred against his English mother.
God damn.
And I honestly think that a lot of that describes certain current political figures pretty well, but
I just wonder how many
refrain from saying him.
how many fucking Twitter threads it would take to say that nowadays.
I just thought that was a very harsh and interesting description of the man.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Franz Ferdinand gets got by the Black Hand.
Okay.
And Wilhelm is not happy about it. He wants to crush the Black Hand in Serbia. When Austria and Serbia declare war against each other, he thinks that if he doesn't act and act quickly, that Britain, Russia, and France, he's kind of paranoid, will eventually just demolish Germany if he shows any restraint or mercy. So he plunges full-throatedly into committing to war. And you can guess things kind of spiral out of control. And in the early days of World War I,
started to discuss.
Yeah. In the early days of World War I, he's erratic in his leadership and makes a few mistakes. And eventually, he's kind of consigned to mostly a ceremonial role. His popularity is tanking in Germany and Prussia.
Yeah, he would shake the troops' hands, and then they'd be like, "Could you use your other arm? your raising arm is making me super uncomfortable."
It's like, why do you have that stick? I don't want to shake that stick. What do you have that?
Just the look on your face when you said "shake that stick" I've never been more uncomfortable.
It's all about selling, Brian. All right, it's all about visuals.
Yeah, always be closing.
That's right, boss baby. Cookies are for closers.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was Fruit Loops and Blu-ray copies of Boss Baby. And now you're just like crawling around in the rafters, chittering away.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm here.
Knocking over trash cans in the night.
Allow me to give you a sample of his trademark humor.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay.
When he was unpopular, his cousin changed the name of his house from Saxe Coburg Gotha to House Windsor. Mm-hmm. And Wilhelm said he had plans to go see Shakespeare's famous play, The Merry Wives of Saxe Coburg Gotha.
God damn.
So, pretty good stuff.
Pretty great stuff. Emperor, could you just put a sleeve on or something? Can you just not point at me? Can that...
Well, in 1918, the German Revolution of 1918 occurs.
Sorry.
They go ahead and get rid of that monarchy, which is constitutionally connected to his Prussian monarchy, so he loses both of his crowns.
Oh, shit.
He flees to the Netherlands, and there's a lot of talk about what to do with him. King George V and Woodrow Wilson both opposed extradition and hanging because they felt like it would create a more unstable political climate, and it was easier to keep the peace if they just let him die in exile. Mm. Although George V called him the greatest criminal in history. So, not a fan still.
Yep, and maybe early with that judgment a little bit.
Well,
Georgie.
A few years, yeah. So while he's in exile, he grows a beard and, quote, allowed his famous mustache to droop.
God, what an asshole.
That's so sad.
I hate him so much.
Again, that's very petty, and that's a very English thing, is to be
There's nothing sadder than a man with a drooping mustache.
I think it's worse that you have to point it out.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I picture him going off of Instagram for 3 weeks, then coming back with a selfie with a droopy-ass limp mustache.
It is worth noting, if you haven't seen a picture of him, you should see his mustache, because it is angled up in a very severe way.
Like what degrees?
So he's...
Like what degrees of an angle?
Oh, God, that's oh, hell no. That looks like a fucking batarang.
He acquires a home in Doorn, a home he calls Huis Doorn, which I think is Dutch for House Dorn. And he's actually initially optimistic of the Nazis because he thinks they may be his way to reinstating the monarchy. But Hitler, who was someone who survived World War I, hated Wilhelm and considered him part of the reason that war happened and why Germany failed. And so basically told him to go fuck himself. He eventually began to view Hitler as a lawless, murderous gangster. He even opposed the events of Kristallnacht. He called that particular pogrom gangsterous, even though, he himself hated Jewish people.
It's a little late with... Also, did he just, oppose how it was done and not...
I think so. There's a little more on that in a minute.
He's just real G's moving silent. It's like, y'all too loud. Broken glass? You shitting me?
Yeah. He hated that he thought Hitler was killing all the brilliant minds that kind of precipitated his rise and the greatest minds in Germany, which is probably not unfair. He sent a congratulatory telegram to Hitler, however, after Germany's early success in World War II, which he thought might restore their former glory. And he also hoped for a restoration of the monarchy in that telegram.
Yep. Yeah.
Supposedly Hitler replied to the telegram by saying, "What an idiot." Churchill offered him asylum in Britain as the war heated up because Hitler wasn't a fan, but he decided to stay in the Netherlands, saying if he was going to die, he was going to die in his home.
Okay.
In his last days, he still believed that the UK was a horrible wasteland that was ruled by Satan, Freemasons, and the Jews, who he believed... engineered both.
Satan, a Freemason, and a Jew walking to a bar
in the Netherlands. They are very uncomfortable because people have been talking.
He also believed in his old age, he basically became an InfoWars watcher. He believed that the Jews engineered both world wars, but it backfired on them when they were pushed out of Europe largely.
Also, he started taking so many supplements.
And he predicted a united U.S. of Europe without Britain in the future. But he dies in 1941 of a pulmonary embolism. Hitler wants him returned to Germany for a burial because he thinks it'll be like a symbolic movement of the monarchy to the new regime. It'll be a nice symbolic thing. But ultimately, his wishes to not return to Germany until the monarchy is restored are obeyed, and he is buried in the Netherlands. And that's the end of Kaiser Wilhelm.
All right. Also, real quick, Zach, you bringing up the Freemasons remind me that we're living the day after the joyous day when Charlie Daniels, who sang "The Devil Went Down to Georgia," got on Twitter to yell at Taco Bell because they weren't taking the Illuminati seriously enough. That's not connected to anything, but that's the most this podcast thing I can think of.
I do want to point out that in the reality that we all live in, the Freemasons are real, and I think they either are or create robots or something.
Yeah, they create, if you've seen Pacific Rim, Jaeger type robots or mechs.
That's right.
And to fight demons and shit.
So the Freemasons, to reiterate, the Freemasons are real, as we have decided earlier in the podcast.
And they're robots also. I think they're robots
and
that
they're
make
robots.
Other robots too. Yeah. But hell yeah.
He is 100% right about the Illuminati thing too.
Yeah.
You do not fuck with that.
Zach, thank you.
Of course.
Coming to you from the X-Axis, it's John of All Trades with your host, John X.
Welcome to this John of All Trades podcast promo. Each Wednesday, I bring you a brand new interview with someone fascinating and ask the question we all ask when we meet someone new. Hey, what do you do? It's fun, informative, and it's the 2017 Westward Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Denver Podcast. iTunes, Stitcher, and johnofalltrades.us.
Okay. Yeah, I did not look up the real version. And I may date myself on a couple references. But this, many people don't know this side of Kaiser Wilhelm II. Kaiser was a huge cinephile, a lover of the theater arts, or what he called watch screen fun time, which actually might have lined up with his character. That actually might be accurate. Legend has it that Kaiser loved the movies, but of course, being Kaiser Wilhelm II, he only watched sequels. And ever since...
Take that, Jason Voorhees' mom.
And legend says that Kaiser Wilhelm was actually conceived during the first movie sequel ever, The Fall of a Nation, which of course is my second favorite KKK black and white movie.
After
The Birth of a Nation. Okay. Damn it, the first one. Which,
it's a real Two Towers Return of the King arc there.
You say that, but if someone said, what's your favorite KKK black and white movie? I would have a real hard time coming up with any other answer.
What's like Black Knight, where Martin Lawrence goes inside the UK?
Yeah, but that's in full color.
Oh, you're right. I guess black and white is really okay.
There are probably a lot of KKK movies that we just don't know about, so...
That's fair.
Well...
Nope.
That's something to look forward to.
No, it's not.
We're having a weird screening.
Let
later.
it stay. Yeah, that's a weird Alamo movie party.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's a cool projector screen. Why are there holes in the middle of it? Okay, so
just when Alamo was getting over that sexual harassment stuff, they planned this awful movie party.
I hope that's like a weird, like, Inglourious Bastards thing where they just get everyone in one theater and then burn it down.
Great. So since birth, Kaiser Wilhelm has always loved the cinema, but specifically squeakquels. People say when they first met Kaiser Wilhelm II, he would introduce himself by saying, "Please, Kaiser Wilhelm is my father. Call me to Kaiser to Wilhelm." Again, I don't know why I'm here.
Again, I whacked you with a broomstick until you came down.
The awkward teen phase where Kaiser only loved Hello Kitty was commonly known as his Tokyo Drift time. Okay, that's enough. One day, as Kaiser was attending one of his favorite sequels, Big Mama House 2, starring, of course, Teen Choice Award nominee Martin Lawrence, Kaiser was becoming more and more annoyed by a group of talkative moviegoers. I don't want to be prejudiced and use a common stereotype about this group of people being loud during movies, but yes, it was white women.
I knew there was a turn coming. I just didn't know what to expect.
Why must they have their bachelorette parties at screenings of Big Mama's House 2?
You know, that
when did that
common
become a tradition?
Okay. Kaiser became so frustrated with the group, he wanted to yell at them, but didn't because of society customs and trying to be polite. So he became so angry, though, that his cheeks filled with sound, and he couldn't hold it in anymore. But he tried to keep it from coming out, so he put one finger over his mouth, and then he finally let the sound out. And trying to be quiet, he made a shh sound, which is the first ever shh sound in the world.
I honestly thought that this was going to be the origin of the Wilhelm scream.
Oh, I thought he was going to tear them apart with his voice like a Dragonborn.
Nope, he just invented the shh, which has been used to shush white women ever since. So shout out white women. And that's what I wrote for what Kaiser Wilhelm did. So pretty close. Sorry if it's too short. If I would have looked it up and found about the withered hand, I would have gave that a real go.
Can we have a round? We might need a round of follow-up questions. So, did the other stuff still happen, or was he just like a guy who liked movies?
Yeah, the other stuff still happened.
Okay.
This is just like a side thing. Like, I don't know anything about history, but I did go to school for film history.
So basically what happened
That in
was...
film history. Right after the Lumiere brothers.
Yep. It's like the first projector.
I have to confess, when I was doing my research, I skipped the film section of his life because I thought it was portrayals in film. But no, it must have actually been about his love of sequels and inventing the shush.
So remember, listeners, whenever you put your withered finger to your lips and shush a band of loud moviegoers, you're doing this or whatever.
That's right. Kaiser Wilhelm.
Call it the Kaiser.
That's right. The old Kaiser Permanente.
Jacob, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry if it's too short.
That's okay. I was worried I went a little long with the true history. I took down such copious notes, so maybe it evens
It's
out.
okay. It was way more interesting. I hope people learned something, though, you know? That's what I'm here for on this earth, is to teach.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, listeners, before we get to judgment, which I don't know how I'm going to do, I want to remind everyone that you can support the show over on our Patreon page, which would be... I did some math yesterday, and if everyone listening to this right now gave like $1 a month, I could quit my day job, so that would be...
But I couldn't, which is weird.
Don't
I
do
would
it
have
for
to
that
keep going.
reason. That's a dumb reason to do it. If you like the show, though, and want us to be better, give us some money, maybe.
I heard your World War I description of planes was real shitty.
Yeah, that... No, the description was fine. The planes...
Oh, okay.
Shitty is a relatively shitty. Also...
I just realized I made a call forward to the next episode.
I mean, that's fine.
Which I am blowing my mind that I just...
look forward to that, listeners.
Yeah, we to be honestly, listeners, we recorded the thing, a little mini special thing for you that'll come out next week. But we did it before this because we're unstuck in time, like Billy Pilgrim.
Just Billy Pilgriming the shit out of this. Also, you can write a review of the podcast on iTunes, which is mad helpful.
Just write. Go to the review section and just you could write anything. Just write. Shh. That's all you need to do.
That's a very negative review.
But 5 stars.
That's just mixed messages.
We'll know what it means.
Fine. Right. Shake that stick.
Oh, no. Write what's in your heart. Also, you can get a hold of us on the social meds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And also...
Hey, Brian, I think last time we recorded, which was a while ago, you said you wanted to note a milestone in our show. Did you not?
Did I not do that? Shit. Yeah. Recently, we passed 10,000 subscribers.
Whoop, whoop.
Which is insane. I figure...
Even in the membrane.
Yep. I assume with this episode now we are down to 6. Again, we chased away all of our withered armed having listeners.
Brian needs 10,000 a month.
Yeah. Don't say why.
Surprisingly, our listenership consisted exclusively of people with withered arms and white women who like to talk during movies.
That's probably true.
God damn it. But thank you to everyone for doing that. Even I'm sure the different bots who are subscribed to this show. seriously, it's insane, and we're so glad you're
They
here.
probably liked all the Russia stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's why they're all here. We are definitely being spied on, which is great because it's such a waste of spycraft. Also, revisionistpodcast.com. That's the other thing. We're a part of the Denver Podcast Network, and you can check out all the awesome shows at denverpodcasts.net. Jacob, you co-host Ice Cream Social.
Yes, that is a podcast I co-host with Cody Spiker, a terrible Denver comedian. You can find that on iTunes or sexpotcomedy.com.
Cody Spiker, of course, 2 withered arms. That's what she's known for.
Colorful
That's
sausage
why they call
links.
her Cody Two Sticks, I think they call her.
Yeah. She's very funny.
Terrible person.
As for me, I'll say this now because it'll probably be public after this. The final Nighttime Tonight is coming up January 18th at Deer Pile. So if you're in Denver, come out and see that. It's been so much fun, but I'm going to lose my mind if I keep doing everything I'm doing. And it's been so much fun, and I hope you can come check out the last one because we got some insane plans. Also, the winter issue of Cherry Magazine is out, and you can get a digital copy by supporting Cherry Magazine on Patreon. And that's an awesome publication. I consult some with the editorials, but mainly just read it. It also, Byron Graham has one of the stories in the current issue, friend of the show. But now it's the time for Judgment, and I was vamping and hoping I could figure out how to judge this fucking thing. We have the 2 most different things possible, I think. You have oranges on one hand and then just raw beef on the other.
Yeah, it's like on one hand you have a normal strong arm, and on the other is this withered husk.
But I think on the one hand,
That's pretty good. Just give it to him for that joke.
yeah, I gotta give it to you for that. Because on the one hand, like, Jacob, you kept all the details of that story, but Zach also put so much into it also. So I gotta go with the actual history this time, but it is open to listener vote, which you can buy your right to vote on Patreon.
I swear to God, if I lose a Nate Earl, I'm gonna fucking.
Ralph Nader still alive, turns out. I keep forgetting that. If
You have to remember, Brian. You have to remember.
kids, if you don't know who Ralph Nader is, basically Jill Stein.
He's still alive.
Yeah. But for everyone here at The Revisionists, I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
Jacob Rupp, bye.
Bye. Have a good time.
Bye. Have a good time.